Hey guys, welcome back to another sports stuff video. Today we are talking about day one of the NFL free agency officially opening. Now technically it's just a tampering period, but teams and players can agree to contracts and then they get signed on Friday. So if you guys do enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into day one. So the Buffalo Bills starting off, Shane Buechele, backup quarterback. This kind of tells me that more than likely Mitch Trubisky is not returning to the Buffalo Bills. So Shane Buechele will probably be either the backup or the third string. Then with DJ Moore, they did trade with DJ Moore. They traded a second-round pick to get back DJ Moore and a fifth-round pick. That's a big-time move. DJ Moore is probably a top 30 receiver in the NFL. Definitely, a starting wide receiver one for him. So the fact you can add that to Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, what's the wide receiver from the Chargers that they signed? Justin Palmer. So Josh Palmer, sorry. So they have an interesting wide receiver corp. I like DJ Moore. I do think they'll probably add a big body receiver in the third or fourth round of this year's draft class. But DJ Moore is a big get for them. Then the biggest get for them is definitely re-signing Connor McGovern to a 4-year, $52 million deal. That is only $13 million a year. And when it comes to center money, that is not even top 10. I think if it is top 10, it's fringe top 10. But Connor McGovern, one of the best centers in the game right now, has been absolutely dominant these last 2 or 3 years. They might lose David Edwards because David Edwards has not signed a big-time deal yet elsewhere. He was their guard, but Connor McGovern was probably the biggest guy they need to re-sign, especially with the center market blowing up right now. That's a big get for only $13 million a year. Then Sam Franklin, he's their third, their backup safety. They traded Dane Jackson, so I do think there's Taron Jackson, sorry. I do think there's a good chance that Sam Franklin might fight for a nickel slot role. But as of right now, he's their third safety, re-signing a 3-year deal. Buffalo Bills, I'm gonna give him like a B-. I like it. Connor McGovern definitely raises that grade. DJ Moore raises that grade. But David Edwards hasn't been re-signed. They haven't made it really any big outside signings yet. So I do worry, why are they running it back to the exact same roster? They need to upgrade. So as of right now, Buffalo Bills, I'm gonna go with a B-. Next, Miami Dolphins, they signed Malik Willis. They win the Malik Willis sweepstakes, if that's what we want to call it. 3-year, $67.5 million deal. So just under $23 million a year. I like it. The thing with the quarterback market, they were never getting Kyler Murray. They cut Tua Tagovailoa today. They were never getting Kyler Murray. I think Malik Willis was the best get for them. Someone who's young enough to where he could still improve, but is old enough to where he's not a unproven rookie. While he is a little unproven still, we saw the last 2 years what he looked like in a LaFleur offense, and Jeff Hafley saw him every single day in practice, saw him every single day the last two years, so he knows Malik Willis better than most guys in the league do. So I do trust Malik Willis in the Miami Dolphins offense with Jeff Hafley at head coach. Again, if anyone knows how good Malik Willis has looked the last 2 years, it is Jeff Hafley. So I do like it because he follows his defensive coordinator from the Packers down to the Miami Dolphins. He gets a true chance to start. And the Dolphins, they don't have to go into quarterback purgatory for the next 3 years. They have someone who can at least be a steady starter for them. So I'm going to give him like a B. I'm going to do like a B. New England Patriots, fullback Reggie Gilliam, 3-year, $12 million. The Patriots are one of the only teams in the NFL who run fullback heavily. So Reggie Gilliam is actually going to get a lot of playing time. So I'm happy for him. $4 million to be a fullback. That is super duper cool. Then Draymond Jones as an edge rusher, 3-year, $39.5. This tells me they do not think Clavon Chasen is coming back to the team. Draymond Jones last year had 9 sacks with the Ravens, so I like it. Definitely maybe a little bit of an overpay. $13 million a year for Draymond Jones is a lot, but again, he's a veteran D tackle, a veteran defensive lineman who can get to the quarterback, is a good run stopper. There's worse signings out there in this market. So far, I'm gonna give him like a C+. I like the Draymond Jones. As a rotation edge rusher. Reggie Gilliam's a fullback, but again, this is one of the only teams that use a fullback. So I'm gonna give it a C+. The New York Jets, however, have been very, very active. Running back, they obviously franchise tagged Breece Hall, and they're trying to work out a long-term extension. I don't think it's gonna happen. I do think no matter what, he's gonna be on the team in 2026, but I just don't see a long-term contract being worked out with how negative Breece Hall views it. Jelani Woods, re-sign on a 1-year deal. That's awesome. I love Jelani Woods. Very athletic tight end. Hopefully he can get used more next year. Kingsley Enagbare from the Green Bay Packers. 1-year, $10 million. He had a really good second half of the season once Micah Parsons got hurt and Rashawn Gary kind of, didn't take that next step. Kingsley Enagbare had a pretty solid second half of the season. 1-year, $10 million is a lot of money to get him, but I'm sure those offers like a 1 for 5 or 1 for 6 to return to Green Bay, so they make the offer a little bit more lucrative so he can come over to their team. Joseph Asai, I love this signing. Joseph Asai in 2024 was very, very good. And then in 2025, the entirety of the defense just took a major nosedive in Cincinnati. So I'm happy he's able to get his money. This is a very good edge rusher. I wouldn't be shocked if he starts week 1. I think the rotation of Kingsley Enagbare and Joseph Asai equals what Jermaine Johnson was going to do, and they have one of them under control for 3 years, the other one on a 1-year deal, and probably to be cheaper than what Jermaine Johnson's going to command in an extension. So I think it's a great deal to get these two guys to play on your edge position. Then D tackle David Onyemata, 1 year, 10.5. He is probably one of the best D tackles in this free agency class, especially in the 3-4 defensive line. He's definitely one of the best three techs. I like him. Really good run stopper. Good at getting to the quarterback as well. Was amazing in Atlanta last year. That is a great hire for Aaron Glenn. Devondre Sweat, they trade for him with Jermaine Johnson. Demario Davis returns to New York on a 2-year, $22 million deal. He returns to New York where he was drafted. So this tells me Demario Davis is done within the next 2 years. There is no more, I'm going to keep playing. He's returning home to New York. He wants to be in New York. That's where he was drafted. That's where his family's from. So I do think this is kind of like his swan song seasons of him as our linebacker. Because I don't see him as our full-time starter. I see him as that third linebacker who plays like 40 snaps a game compared to the 65, 70 that starters play. Then they trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick. They traded a seventh round pick for Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's assigned a 3-year, $40 million extension. Aaron Glenn needs interceptions, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, when he was at his prime, was a great turnover generator. So I think that's kind of what they're betting on is, hey, Minkah, maybe in a new defensive scheme with a better defense overall than you had in Miami last year, you can kind of break back out into your role. He's only 30 years old, so for a 7th-round pick, getting a starting safety who's a former Pro Bowler, I'm willing to do that. 3-year, $40 million as well is not an awful deal. For the Jets, I really like it. He's getting a lot of guys that fit his scheme. Devondre Sweat's their nose tackle. David Onyemata is their D tackle. Demario Davis is going to be their Mike with Osai and Enagbare as your outside linebackers. Minkah Fitzpatrick is your ball hawking free safety. I see what he's building on defense. I really like it. I'm going to give it a B+ for the New York Jets. AFC North, Tyler Huntley re-signed on a 2-year, $11 million contract. Makes sense that they finally stopped letting him walk, because every single season they'd let Tyler Huntley leave, and then they would trade for him, or he'd get cut from the training camp, and they'd re-sign him. It's nice, like, you know what, Tyler? We like you. Let's just stay here. Be Lamar's backup. John Simpson re-signed on a 3-year, $30 million deal. So John Simpson actually was, I believe, drafted by the Ravens back in 2018 or 2019. Then went to the Raiders, then to the Jets, returns back to the Baltimore Ravens. He's taken over Daniel Falele's spot. 3-year, $30 million. Again, I thought that was about the range you'd get out of him. He's a solid starting offensive lineman. You can't hate that. Then they traded Max Crosby for 2 first-round picks. They traded for Max Crosby, trading away 2 first-round picks. I love what they did so far. Upgrading Daniel Falele, getting their premier edge rusher that Jesse Minter is able to get 12 or 13 sacks out of day 1. I like it. I'm going to give it like a B+. I'm not going to give it into the A territory because I need to see a little bit more signings in day 2 and 3 to fill out their secondary, because I do think their secondary needs some help. Cincinnati Bengals, Don Reisner re-signs on a 1-year deal. That's already been announced for a few days. But the big get is Boye Mafe from the Seattle Seahawks. 3-year, $60 million deal. That's a little bit of an overpay, if I'm being honest with you guys. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I'm not going to say one-dimensional play, but definitely they're more of a speed rusher. Yes, Shamar Stewart, more of that power guy. Edge needed more help. Boye Mafe is definitely going to play for them day 1. But how good is he going to be? How effective is he going to be? I don't know. But they're genuinely trying to build their defense, and I give them that. Jalen Davis, not going to talk about it. I don't really know who that is. Then Brian Cook, safety from the Kansas City Chiefs. 3-year, $40 million deal. Safety was definitely in need of theirs last year. They have Dax Hill. They have Jordan Battle. They have Geno Smith, who's on free agency right now. So Brian Cook kind of slots in immediately. Really good run defender, good ball hawk as well. I think this would be a great get for them. So Brian Cook and Boye Mafe, I like it. I just don't like the money for Boye Mafe. I'm going to go like a B. A B, I think, is pretty solid. Then the Cleveland Browns, they traded for Titus Howard last week. They traded a 5th-round pick, and they immediately extended Titus Howard, making $22 million a year. Or $21 million a year. I'm sorry. I love it. I love that trade. A 5th-round pick. If the Cleveland Browns got a starting right tackle, out of a 5th-round pick, I'd be excited. So if I can get someone who's had so many NFL starts, has been very good in the NFL at one point, I am 100% all for is doing that and improving the offensive line. Then Zion Johnson, I'm very high on Zion Johnson. He was my favorite guard a few years ago coming out. One of my favorite offensive linemen coming out as well. He's been very healthy for the Chargers, and that's something the Browns have really dealt with, is health in the offensive line. So Zion Johnson, 3-year, $50 million deal. He's been a very good run blocker, but last year struggled in pass blocking. But I give a lot of that is that he's the only healthy starter that played the entire year. He had Bradley Bozeman, Will Clapp, and Trevor Penning as a center and left tackle duo. So I'm giving him a lot more credence. So 3-year, $50 million deal. I love the Browns, what they've done so far. I'm going to give it a B, though. Again, no Kyler Murray signing yet. No wide receiver signing yet. I do think Kyler Murray is going to be going to the Cleveland Browns, but no wide receiver signing, and that does scare me. Or no trade either. So we'll see, but right now I'm going to give it a B. A B, I think is fair. The Steelers have knocked it out of the park, though. Michael Pittman, they trade for Michael Pittman. Gets a new 3-year, $60 million deal with Pittsburgh. The Colts just signed Alec Pierce to a $29 million a year contract, 4 for $118, I think it was. And so because of that, the Steelers, they trade I think it was a 6th-round pick for Michael Pittman, and they immediately sent him for $20 million a year. Michael Pittman had a bad year last year, was definitely not the focal point of the offense, but with DK Metcalf on the outside, I think Michael Pittman as a slot receiver and that slot outside mixture is gonna be very good. He is a really good slot runner, really good in route. He's a really good shifty guy. For only $20 million a year, you trade a 6th or 7th round pick for him. That's an A+ trade. Cole Holcomb re-signed on a 2-year, $5 million. He's been a good linebacker for a couple of years. Jamel Dean, that's a big get. Their secondary was a big issue last year. Now you have Asante Samuel Jr., Jamel Dean, and Joey Porter Jr. That's good because Jamel Dean can play on the outside or inside. 3-year, $36 million, $12 million a year. I'm a big fan of that. Then Asante Samuel re-signed on a 1-year, $4 million to try to get back his value. So next offseason he can get a big deal. That is an A+ so far for the Steelers. I love it. Michael Pittman for a late round swap, so probably a 6th to a 5th, and they get the 6th back. Only $20 million a year you're paying him as well. That's a great get. Jamel Dean, that's a great get. Getting back Asante Samuel, even though Mike Tomlin isn't there anymore. This is going to be easily an A+ offseason so far for the Pittsburgh Steelers. AFC South. So the Houston Texans, they trade for David Montgomery. That was already announced, last week. But for a 4th round pick, a 7th round pick, and Juice Scruggs, so basically a 5th round pick. But that's great for them. They get a starting running back immediately in the mold that they've been looking for. Whether it was Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, now David Montgomery. They want a physical running back to be the running back 1. They get that in David Montgomery. Dalton Schultz signed a 1-year extension for $12 million. That was already announced. Trent Brown re-signed earlier this week for 1 year, $7 million to probably be their starting right tackle if they can't find someone after they trade Titus Howard. Ed Ingram just re-signed today on a 3-year, $37.5. He was probably one of the top guards in this class. And I thought it's a great signing for them. They get their guard back. So now Ed Ingram and Trent Brown, their right guard, right tackle duo, have played together the last year. So I do think that's going to be good for chemistry and for CJ Stroud going forward. Naquan Jones re-signed on a 1-year, $2 million deal. D tackle. Same with Sean Rankins. They're getting him back. 2-year contract that includes $12 million guaranteed. They just re-signed their D tackles. They did lose Tim Settle, so I think they're going to rely on Naquan Jones taking more snaps next year. Danielle Hunter signed a 1-year, $40 million extension. If you watch my offseason plan, I thought it was going to be more of a 4-year deal, and they're just going to push that money down the line. But only a 1-year extension to make sure Danielle Hunter is with them through 2027 season. So now 2026 and 2027, he will be on the Houston Texans. EJ Speed, they re-signed him to a 2-year, $10 million deal. He was a great run stopper for them last year. Was really great in Indianapolis his first couple of years as well. So that's a great get for them. Then the biggest get, in my opinion, so far is Reed Blankenship. This is a Pro Bowl level safety, 3-year, $25 million deal. Only $8 million a year for a starting Pro Bowl level free safety. Adding on to the secondary that's already really good. Amazing. So for the Texans, I'm going to give them an A-. Obviously, not a lot of these were outside signings. It's a lot of extensions and guys that are already on their team. But the big get of getting Reed Blankenship, adding to the secondary, that's enough to get me to an A-. The Colts, Daniel Jones, they put a transition tag on. 1-year, $37.8. They are working on a multi-year extension. So we'll see if that does go through. Alec Pierce, re-signed on a 4-year, $114 million deal. $29 million a year. It's just not worth it, man. I just don't think he's worth that much money. For a wide receiver 2 who's only gone over 1,000 yards once in his career, I just don't like it, man. I don't like it. Next is Arden Key for the Tennessee Titans. He had a very good year last year for the Tennessee Titans. I believe he had 9 sacks, if I'm not mistaken, 8 or 9 sacks, 2-year deal with up to $20 million. They did lose Kwity Paye, so they're hoping that Arden Key can be the opposite of Laiatu Latu and be the opposite veteran edge rusher for him. That's a good get. Colby Wooden, they trade Zaire Franklin, their starting linebacker, who averages 160 sacks a season. They trade him for Colby Wooden. I think this is preparing them for the future without DeForest Buckner or, what's his name? DeForest Buckner or, oh my gosh, see what I mean? I click record and I forget names. Both their D tackles are very old. I think Colby Wooden is their kind of get to replace them, but losing Zaire Franklin is insane. I can't believe they did that. That is a amazing linebacker, and they just trade him for a rotation D tackle at this point. So they must really think that Colby Wooden can be good. Then Blake Grupe re-signed on a 1-year deal. I'm not a big fan of this, I'll be honest. Daniel Jones, $37.8 million at minimum. Alec Pierce, I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm gonna give it like a C grade, because that's way too much money to sign Alec Pierce too. Jacksonville Jaguars, again, it's all their own guys that re-signed. That's DJ Dallas, Quentin Morris, Dennis Gardeck, Matt Nicholson, and Monteric Brown. There's no one else they've really talked about, so I'm gonna say NA. You can't really grade them because it's all their own guys. Tennessee Titans have been very active. Mitchell Trubisky, they signed to a 2-year deal to be their backup to Cam Ward. I love that. That is great depth behind Cam Ward, a great mentor for him as well. Wan'Dale Robinson, 4-year, $78 million deal. That's his new wide receiver 1. Wan'Dale can move inside the slot, be a really good boundary receiver, a gadget guy as well. Brian Daboll gets his guy back from the New York Giants. Cordell Volson, that's a former second-round pick from the Bengals, 1 year, $2.5 million. So maybe get something out of a 24-year-old guard. I think it's a good shot in the dark. Austin Schlottman, backup center for the Giants, comes over to the Tennessee Titans. 2-year deal, $9 million. So people had issues with Wan'Dale and Austin Schlottman coming over. My thing is, these guys immediately know his offense. They know what they're doing. They can help out the new guys that are, in the Tennessee Titans. They can help the new guys kind of learn the system. I'm a big fan of it. Then, honestly, they traded for Jermaine Johnson with T'Vondre Sweat. They signed John Franklin Myers to $21 million a year. Obviously, that was going to happen after Robert Saleh got that job. It was basically being painted. That was what's going to happen. Good run defender, good pass rusher. Not super athletic like he used to be, but definitely he's going to be missed in Denver. Cordell Flott, 3-year, $45 million deal. I like it. He's really improved as a corner these last couple of years. Was a former 5th-round pick. Gets a big-time deal finally. Has been a good starter the last 2 years. I'm okay with that. $15 million a year. Then Alontae Taylor at corner as well from the New Orleans Saints. This one's a little more shocking. 3-year, $60 million deal. I don't think he's worth $20 million, but at the same time, the Tennessee Titans have money to burn. They need to improve this team immediately. Robert Saleh is not letting this team suck like he let the Jets suck. So I do think he wants to spend a little bit of money to make sure his team has a good footing next year. They still have the draft. They still have a couple of days of free agency as well. So I don't hate it. I'm gonna give it like a B+. I do like all the signings. I would like to. I want to see what it actually leads to. Then in the AFC West, we have the Denver Broncos. Sam Ehlinger re-signs on a 1-year, $2 million deal. Backup. J.K. Dobbins re-signs on a 2-year deal. Not a big fan of that. He can't stay healthy. I don't want them to rely on R.J. Harvey and J.K. Dobbins. Adam Trotman re-signs on a 3-year contract. Seriously, the best job in the NFL is being friends with Sean Payton. Alex Singleton. Not only is it Alex Singleton, they cut Dre Greenlaw to re-sign Alex Singleton. If you guys know any Broncos fans, give him a hug. Alex Singleton has not been good these last 2 years. There's asking too much of him at 33 years old. I cannot believe they cut Dre Greenlaw to re-sign Alex Singleton. Justin Shenad, I've been saying I think Justin Shenad's gonna stay. He was born and raised in Denver. Was an undrafted free agent to Denver. Has turned into a really good player. I do think that they're gonna make sure he retires a Denver Bronco. 3-year, $19.5 million. That's not an awful number for now a starting linebacker. I'm gonna give it like a C. It's fine. It's fine. Kansas City Chiefs, big get. They get Kenneth Walker on a 3-year, $45 million deal, $15 million a year. I like it. That's the number I thought he'd be about at, is at 12 to 15 range. So he gets on the upper echelon, gets to go to the Kansas City Chiefs and trying to win a Super Bowl. I'm all for it. Good on Kenneth Walker. Good on the Chiefs on really investing in running back. Travis Kelce re-signs on a 1-year, $12 million deal. All right, man. Then Chris Tonga, 3-year, $21 million. Now this is interesting. Chris Tonga is known in a 3-4 defense as a nose tackle. So I wonder what he's going to do in a 4-3 defense if they think he's athletic enough to be an actual D tackle rather than a nose tackle. So we'll see. 3 years, $21 million, and they re-sign a long snapper. I like it. Kenneth Walker's a big get for the Kansas City Chiefs. Chris Tonga, again, if they're willing to somehow make it work, I like it. I'm going to give him like a B. I think it's like a B. Now the big one everyone is waiting for, the Las Vegas Raiders. Massive day with Fernando Mendoza coming in just a few short weeks. The Raiders, they signed a Jalen Nailor at wide receiver. I like it. He's a good route runner, good slot guy. Can play on the outside as well. Good frame. Big fan of Jalen Nailor to the Raiders. Tyler Linderbaum, 3-year, $81 million deal. He is making $27 million a year. The next guy at center is making 18. So massive $9 million pay gap. Very good center. The Raiders, they overpay for him because they need to fix this offensive line for Fernando Mendoza. So it's worth it, in my opinion. You know, they need to fix this team, and they want to make sure they fix it immediately. Kwity Paye, signing a deal worth $16 million. I thought it was a 316. 3-year, was that 6, 12, 18? 3 for 50 then. Is it not a 3-year deal, 16 of a year? Anyway, Kwity Paye, you know, he's never really achieved his full potential in Indianapolis. So I can't believe he's getting $16 million a year. He's a good run defender, but man, that's crazy. $16 million a year for him. Then at linebacker, Nakobe Dean, 3-year, $36 million. In my opinion, Nakobe Dean was the second best linebacker in this free agency class. Amazing blitzer at the linebacker position. 3-year, $36 is a great steal for that. And the Raiders immediately get better in their pass rush without Max Crosby. Then Quay Walker at linebacker as well, more of a stand-up linebacker. Really good run stopper. 3-year, $40.5 from the Green Bay Packers. So I like it. Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker pairing is amazing. Then Taron Johnson, the Buffalo Bills were about to cut him, but instead the Raiders, they trade a 6th-round pick to get Taron Johnson in the 7th. So they immediately replace what's his name at slot nickel. I cannot remember his name, but Taron Johnson 2 years ago was the best nickel corner in the NFL. So they're hoping that they can get another year or two out of him. But it's a 7th-round pick, or it's a 6th-round pick. You're not mad about it. You get a great player who at one point was one of the best in his position for a 6th-round pick. So you're going to do it every day of the week. Then Eric Stokes re-signs on a 3-year, $30 million deal. He was once a nickel corner, has moved out to boundary for the Raiders, played really well last year. I do like how even the new regime is rewarding players who played really well for them last year. So the Raiders, I'm giving it an A+. You get Tyler Linderbaum, even though you had to overpay for him. You then make it up for Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker, getting under market value. I love it. A+ for the Raiders. Then for the Chargers, Alec Ingold signed on a 2-year, $7.5 million deal. Obviously, Mike McDaniel gets his fullback. Makes a lot of sense. Then Charlie Kolar, I really like. 3-year, $24 million. One of the best run blocking tight ends in the NFL. Goes to the Chargers. So you can see a lot of running the ball in LA next year, which I'm really excited about. Trevor Penning re-signs on a 1-year, $3 million deal. Not awful. It's a backup left tackle that you can maybe develop. Tyler Biadasz, 3-year, $30 million deal. Obviously, when he got cut from the Commanders, he did go around the NFL a little bit to do interviews. Ends up in Los Angeles, and they did not let him go. It's a perfect scheme fit for Mike McDaniel, a very athletic center. So I like it. Tyler Tart, one of the best nose tackles in football. 3-year extension worth $37.5 million. So great fit for him. Then Khalil Mack returns as well on a 1-year, $18 million deal. So they keep their defensive line mostly intact. With Khalil Mack, Tyler Tart, and obviously Tuli Tuipulotu returning. So I like it. I like the defensive line. Offensively, they're just kind of molding the roster around Mike McDaniel now. So I'm gonna give him a solid B+. A solid B+. Then the NFC finally. So NFC East, Javonte Williams re-signs on a 3-year, $24 million deal. That's great. Only $8 million a year for their starting running back. That's a great number. He was one of the best running backs last year. George Pickens received the franchise tag, which will pay him $27 million a year for this season. But I do think that he will work out a long-term contract, which is going to pay him more like $29-30 million a year once they get that extension done. But no matter what, George Pickens is on this team. Good for him. Rashawn Gary, I actually really liked. Now they were talking about they were going to cut Rashawn Gary, but the Dallas Cowboys, they said, no. We want to do a trade because we want to guarantee that we can get Rashawn Gary because there's a good chance he would go to Miami if he got cut and follow Jeff Hafley. So the Cowboys, they traded a future 4th-round pick to get Rashawn Gary. Was he amazing last year? Absolutely not. But he was definitely worth a 4th-round pick, a future one as well. So it's basically a this year 5th-round pick. So I think it was worth it for the Cowboys to get a starting edge rusher in this defense immediately. Jalen Thompson, one of the best safeties, one of the best one of the best free safeties in the NFL. 3-year deal, $36 million, so $12 million a year. Comes over for the Arizona Cardinals. Him and Budda Baker have been a really good duo the last 4 or 5 years. So I thought it was really shocking that the Cardinals let him walk. But 3-year, $36 million is a benefit to the Dallas Cowboys. Then Brandon Aubrey, they put a 2nd-round tender on. So if any team in the NFL wants to sign Brandon Aubrey, not only do they have to pay him whatever money he wants, the Cowboys will get a 2nd-round pick if they deny the offer, and if they match the offer, they get Brandon Aubrey. So no matter what, Brandon Aubrey will be on the Dallas Cowboys, because I don't see anyone offering a 2nd-round pick and I don't see anyone, making a big enough offer where they're gonna deny it. So for the Cowboys, I like it. I'm gonna give it like a B. I think it's solid. The New York Giants, Gunnar Olszewski re-signed to the Giants. That's a returner. Isaiah Likely, 3-year, $40 million deal. I really like that. That's now their backup tight end. Same role he had in Baltimore behind Theo Johnson. Behind Theo Johnson. They'll see. I think there'll be an open competition at camp with a new offensive coordinator, new head coach. I think there will be an open battle for tight end number 1 that Isaiah Likely could win. But at worst, you're paying, what, $13 million a year for a backup tight end who's really good in this scheme. I'm a rock with it. Jermaine Illuminor re-signs on a 2-year deal. It was a 2-year deal. I like it. He's a really good right tackle. It kind of solidifies right tackle for them under the John Harbaugh entry era. His first couple of seasons. Lets Jackson Dart have a right tackle he can rely on. I'm cool with it. Then Tremaine Edmonds, we always knew that no matter what, a linebacker was going to be coming to New York, whether it was a free agent or a high draft pick, he was going to get his linebacker. Tremaine Edmonds is going to be that linebacker for John Harbaugh. 3-year, $36 million deal. I was really shocked when the Bears cut him. I think injuries was kind of the biggest issue with Tremaine Edmonds in Chicago. So hopefully in New York he can stay a little bit more healthy and the team can, really utilize his skill that he has. For the Giants, I like it. I'll give it a B. I like Tremaine Edmonds. I like the Isaiah Likely signing, but the Gunnar Olszewski and Jermaine Illuminor doesn't get it to a B+ or A level. The Eagles, all they've done is sign Jordan Davis to an extension. 3-year, $78 million deal. I do worry about Howie right now. Losing Reed Blankenship is a big loss. So I really do hope they can kind of make up for that somehow. They have Sidney Brown on roster, so maybe that's their plan, is Sidney Brown at free safety. But we'll see. They haven't signed anyone externally, so we'll see once they start signing people. Then the Commanders, another big team that's been signing a lot of free agents. Marcus Mariota re-signs on a 1-year, $7 million deal. That's their backup quarterback. I don't hate it. He probably looked at the market. No one was offering him $7 million to start. So he goes, all right, I'll take $7 million to be a backup. Then Treylon Burks, 1-year deal worth the $4 million. Former first-round pick is going to get a real opportunity to be wide receiver 2 for this offense next year. Larry Tunsil, 2-year, $60 million extension. That's crazy. Larry Tunsil's not worth $30 million a year. That's a bad extension. It's just he's at the tail end of his career. I just don't think he's worth $30 million. I think there's other tackles in this free agency class that were worth more. So good on Larry Tunsil for getting that money, but I don't like the signing. Nick Allegretti, 2-year extension. He was gonna play through the 2026 season. I think he's their guard. If not, he's their backup. So at worst, you have a swing guard that you can play multiple positions. At best, you have a starter locked up for the next 3 years. Andrew Wiley, re-signing, he's a right tackle, re-signing. I wasn't a big fan of him last year, but hopefully it's another year. He'll get better. The worst signing so far I've seen, though, is Odafe Owe. 4-year, $100 million deal with $68 million guaranteed. I hate that deal. $25 million a year for Odafe Owe is insane. He got traded to the LA Chargers and did not, yes, he had 10.5 sacks. Are we paying guys that have 10 sacks, $25 million a year now? Is that the new norm? Or am I going crazy? I just don't think he's worth it. He's a good run defender, but I'm not paying anyone who can't break 10 sacks without the playoffs $25 million a year. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. We'll see how he does in Washington. Then Deatrich Wise re-signs on a 1-year deal. I love Deatrich Wise, great veteran. Unfortunately, tore his ACL last year, so didn't really get a chance to show what he could be. But I like Deatrich Wise. I hope he can, have a bounce back year. Tim Settle signed on a 3-year, $24 million deal. Their former 5th-round pick in 2018. I like Tim Settle, very good at pass rushing D tackle. Comes over to the Washington Commanders. I don't know what's going on with their D tackle room. They never trusted enough. I like the D tackle room. Deron Payne and Jazon Newton were doing their thing, and then they add Tim Settle. Hopefully, just their 3rd pass rusher at D tackle and nothing crazy. Amik Robinson, 2-year, $16 million. I like it. He can play boundary. He can play nickel. He can play wherever you need him to be in the secondary. So I like that for $8 million a year. Then Tressway, their punter, they re-sign. No duh. Then the NFC North. Oh, I apologize. The Commanders. I like it. I don't hate it. I'm gonna give it a D+ though. The Odafe Owe contract is egregious. The Bears, they re-signed Case Keenum, their backup, to a 2-year, $4 million deal, max of 8. Backup quarterback, whatever. Braxton Jones, their backup left tackle, re-signs on a 1-year deal. That is in case Ozzie Trapillo and Theo Benedict are not ready when it comes to week 1. They have Braxton Jones who can play left tackle or be a backup right tackle. Garrett Bradbury, with Drew Dolman suddenly retiring out of nowhere at age 27. They trade a 5th-round pick for Garrett Bradbury. He's a solid starting center, nothing crazy. He's probably the 20th best starting center in the NFL. But with how the market's going right now, he's only making like $5 or $6 million a year. So, you know, for how this market's going, a 5th-round pick in the future for a starting center, you got to take it. Then Neville Gallimore, D tackle, 2-year, $12 million deal. He's a solid run defender, nothing crazy though. Just depth, $6 million a year. Devin Bush, though, is absolutely an amazing signing. 3-year, $30 million deal. He has shown in Cleveland the last 2 years. He's one of the best run defending linebackers in the NFL. Not only do they save money from the Tremaine Edmonds deal, but then they get even better at linebacker. That's a great signing by the Chicago Bears. Then DeMarco Jackson, very good special teamer and role player. 2 years, 7.5. You're just rewarding someone who's been in your system, has been very good for you. I like it. Then free safety Kobe Bryant. This tells me Kevin Byard is not coming back to the Chicago Bears. 3 years, $40 million deal. This came from the Seattle Seahawks where he won a Super Bowl. Was very important to that Super Bowl run. So good on Kobe Bryant getting out of the team, getting $13 million a year, and for the Bears getting a ball hawking free safety. I like it. I'm gonna give it a B+. I like this offseason so far. The ability to pivot off of Drew Dahlman into Garrett Bradbury, getting Devin Bush, extending DeMarco Jackson, and getting Kobe Bryant, that's a B+ in my opinion. The Detroit Lions, though, had a really good day so far. Cade Mays obviously is one of the best centers in the free agency class. They get him for only $13 million a year. That's a great deal. I think it was 3 for $40. That is a great deal for Cade Mays. The Panthers are going to really miss him. Really good run blocker, a plus pass blocker. Definitely someone to help the scheme. Then Larry Borum, you know, he's gonna be a backup tackle for him. But losing Tara Decker, you have Penei Sewell. Larry Borum can play both left and right tackle. So if you can't draft someone at left tackle in the first round, I'm not gonna say you could trust Larry Borum, but at worst, you know you can rely on him. Then the trade in the David Montgomery trade, you get Drew Scruggs, very young center. Honestly, he's not gonna be playing center for them. I think they are gonna move him to guard and see what he can do. But at worst, you get a center, a left tackle, a backup. I like it. I'm gonna give it a B-. I want to see more from them. Maybe try and get a left tackle. But right now, I think it's a B-. Green Bay Packers. It's a little hit or miss. So Sean Ryan. That's a little bit of an overpay, 3 years, $33 million. He was really mediocre last year, if not bad. They cut Elton Jenkins to make this contract work as well. So it basically evened out their books. But Sean Ryan's younger. He's played guard and center and some tackle. So, kind of like the Green Bay Packers always do. All their linemen play all the positions. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't really like it, but I do like the trade for Zaire Franklin. Again, he averages 160 sacks the last 160 tackles the last 3 years every season. They get him for a backup D tackle. That's great. Zaire Franklin immediately is an upgrade over Quay Walker. He's cheaper than Quay Walker. I really like it for the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to give it like a C+. Not a big fan of the Sean Ryan signing, but I love the Zaire Franklin trade. Then the Minnesota Vikings, Eric Wilson, 3-year, $22 million deal. I think he's 29 or 30 years old. Interesting, but he's very big in the Brian Flores defense. He needs that pass coverage linebacker, and that's Eric Wilson. So I'm going to say it's fine. It's whatever. I trust Brian Flores. And James Pierre from the Pittsburgh Steelers, 2 years, $8.5 million deal. I'm a big fan of this. He's a very good corner. I've watched him play his entire career. I'm a very big fan of James Pierre. And I think in Minnesota, with how lackluster their cornerback play is, he's going to shine this year and be well worth that $4 million a year. So I'm going to say this is a B-. I'm a big fan of this offseason for the Vikings so far. NFC South, the Atlanta Falcons, they signed Tua Tagovailoa on a 1-year veteran minimum, $1.5 million. I love it. At minimum, you have Tua as your starter next year, and him and Michael Penix will have an open battle. But this tells me, Kevin Stefanski, you found your quarterback. He's 25, 26 years old. He's been a starter in the NFL. He has a better offensive line in Atlanta, better weapons as well, better running back. I love this for Tua Tagovailoa. Obviously, this is the play that Kevin Stefanski was waiting on. So good for him. He gets his quarterback finally, and Tua gets a fresh start in Atlanta. Jahan Dotson, 1-year deal. I think it was a 2-year deal, actually. I like it. Former first-round pick. His rookie season was really special, and then the Commanders just gave up on him. Really interesting. So opposite of Drake May, you now have a very interesting wide receiver option at wide receiver 2. Olamide Zaccheaus, starting in Atlanta in his career, very good run-blocking wide receiver. Kevin Stefanski loves run-blocking wide receivers, so I think that's what it is. Then Austin Hooper resigns to Atlanta as well, where he started his career. 1-year, $3 million deal. Back up to Kyle Pitts, good receiver, good run blocker, good veteran. Kyle Pitts received the franchise tag. They're probably going to work out an extension, though. Christian Harris, really good coverage linebacker. I like it. I've not seen any details about this yet, but I do like it. Then Nick Folk signs a 2-year contract at 41 years old. Whatever, he was 28 of 29 in field goals. Good for him. This is an A+. You get a starting quarterback for $1.5 million a year. Oh, sorry, $1.5 million. A former wide receiver, a former first-round wide receiver who showed flashes early and is kind of flamed out. good run blocking wide receiver. You get Kyle Pitts back. This is an A+. I really like this offseason the Falcons have built so far. Next is the Carolina Panthers. Kenny Pickett, 1 year, $4 million to back up Bryce Young. I love that. I think they play very similarly. So $4 million for a backup quarterback is a great get for the Panthers. But this is awful. This is downright awful. Jalen Phillips, 4 years, 120. What is going on? What is going on with this edge class? First, it was Odafe Owe for 25. Then Jalen Phillips for 30. Myles Garrett makes 40. Myles Garrett makes 40. You're telling me Jalen Phillips is only $10 million less of a player than Myles Garrett? No. He had 1/2 of a season that was good in the last 3 years. Good rookie season and 1/2 of his last year in Philadelphia. He's not worth 30. That is an awful signing. That's awful. Genuinely awful. I hate it. Caleb Evans and JJ Jansen, whatever. This is an F. Listen, I'm always open to being proven wrong. I like the Kenny Pickett signing. Backup quarterback, I really like it. Jalen Phillips for $30 million a year. Brother. No. I'm sorry. That is an automatic F. You failed. No. Again, I can be proven wrong, and if he has a 13 sack season and then a 15 sack season to follow it up, I will eat crow. And I will come back on here and say, man, I was wrong a few years ago with Jalen Phillips. But $30 million a year. F. The Saints, they've had a pretty good offseason so far. Travis Etienne, 4 years, 52. That tells me that Alvin Kamara is going to be a backup running back next year. But they want to keep that same mold of running back. If Travis Etienne, only 25 years old, plays very similar to Alvin Kamara. I love it. Noah Fant, 2-year deal. 1 year in Cincinnati, had 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. Has been always a really good receiving tight end. The issue has always been run blocking, but we'll see what that, if he can develop that in New Orleans. David Edwards, amazing. I think it was a 3-year, $15 million a year deal. So 3 for 50-ish. Great get. This offensive line is very good now. You have Talanoa Hufanga and Kelvin Banks at tackle. Then Cesar Ruiz and Cesar Ruiz. This is so annoying, man. The other veteran guard. Now your offensive line is finished, right? David Edwards is the last piece of your offensive line. You can run forward and have an elite offensive line now for Tyler Shuck and Travis Etienne. I love it. John Ridgeway re-signs on a 2-year, $6 million deal. Has been a very good D tackle for them. Julian Blackmon re-signs on a 1-year deal. He was a very good get last year, late into the season. It was very good in Indianapolis. I don't know why he was, not sought after. Then Ryan Wright, really good punter from the Tennessee Titans. Has a great leg, so it makes a lot of sense why they want to get him on a 4-year, 14 to make sure, because this team's gonna punt a lot. This is them ensuring they have a great punter. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've lost a lot of guys in free agency, but Kenneth Gainwell, 2-year, 14. That's great behind. Oh my God. See how annoying it is, man. Oh shoot. See how annoying it is. The minute you click record, you're gonna forget if you guys don't record videos, the second you click record, you're going to forget every single thing. And it's so annoying. Bucky Irving. There we go. So Bucky Irving's a physical back. Kenneth Gainwell's gonna be that third down back pass blocker. So I like it for $7 million a year. K. Dotton re-signs on a 3 for 30. He's so important to that passing game. That's really important. Alex Anzalone, 2 years, 17. Linebacker and edge was the biggest need for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this offseason. So they solved it immediately, getting a veteran linebacker. I would like to see them get another linebacker. Maybe someone they can take a 1-year shot on who has kind of busted elsewhere. I like it so far. I'm gonna give it a B-, knowing that they've lost a lot more than they've gained. I believe this is the last division. Is the NFC West. Arizona Cardinals, Gardner Minshew, 1 year, $8 million. He did not tear his ACL. I thought he did tear his ACL. But Gardner Minshew partially tore it. Is going to be healthy next year. So he's going to be the backup to Jacoby Brissett. So good for him. 1 year, $8 million. Tyler Algier, 2 for 12. So him and James Conner, because they restructured James Conner's contract, him and James Conner are going to do dual split running back duties. So that's good for both of them. They both still get their money. Kendrick Bourne, 2 years, $10 million. He's a very good wide receiver. Is consistently just very good. So he's good for 400 or 500 yards a year and 4 or 5 touchdowns. So good on him getting a $5 million a year deal. Definitely worth that money, as we saw in San Francisco this year. Isaac Samalu, 3-year, 31 million, a Pro Bowl level guard coming over to Arizona as a big get. LJ Collier re-signs on a 1-year deal. Roy Lopez, that's a great nose tackle, 2-year, 11 million. That is amazing to get Roy Lopez, who fits their 3-4 defense. Really good upgrade at nose tackle. Then they re-sign their specialists. I like it. I'm gonna give it like a B+. Isaac Samalu, Kendrick Bourne, Tyler Algier, that's all benefits their offense. Then Gardner Minshew secures their quarterback room. That now they don't need to draft a quarterback. If they want to, they can. But now you have Jacoby Brissett and Gardner Minshew, and in 2027, you can go out and get your quarterback. Is that? Yeah, that is it. Okay, I want to make sure. Next is the Los Angeles Rams. They re-signed Tyler Higbee to a 2-year deal worth $8 million. That's good for a starting tight end. However, because of his age and injuries, I do think he's going to be a backup. David Quisenberry, good veteran backup tackle, 1-year deal. That's fine. The big get, though, is Trent McDuffie. A trade, what was it? A first-round pick, a fifth-round pick, a sixth-round pick, and a future third to the Kansas City Chiefs for Trent McDuffie, who's one of the best corners in NFL. Great lockdown guy. They're saying that they're going to play him at nickel, which is fine, because, yes, it's a lot of money, 4-year, 124, but he can play on the outside. This is a true lockdown boundary wide corner, so he can play inside, outside. You can mix up coverages. I think Trent McDuffie's a really good corner, so the Rams can get him, fix their corner issue overnight that kind of cost them in the playoffs. Then you pair him with Jalen Watson, his teammate from the Kansas City Chiefs, who he played with. So now you have 2 great boundary corners. You lose Darius Williams to retirement, and immediately your cornerback room is that much better. He signs a 3-year, $51 million deal. Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie are a great boundary corner duo. I'm shocked that the Chiefs let them both walk, but the Rams, to their benefit, just upgraded their cornerback room immensely. Then Cam Curl, 3-year, $36 million deal. That's an amazing signing. He has been bouncing around the league, just like the one with the Raiders. Oh my God, Cam Curl is another safety I really like that's been bouncing around the league. But Cam Curl, he's been amazing run blocker, really good at punching balls out and forcing fumbles. Get him back on a $12 million a year deal. Their secondary got a lot better. This is a B+ offseason. Getting Trent McDuffie, getting Jalen Watson, getting Cam Curl, and still having number 13 overall to add to this team. That's a B+ offseason so far. The 49ers, they signed Mike Evans away from the Buccaneers on a 3-year, $60 million deal. It's $20 million a year is the number. 3-year, $60 million deal. They needed a wide receiver one. The 49ers, they always, somehow get wide receivers. Mike Evans wanted to be more in a different scenery. The 49ers were a great fit for him. They need a boundary wide receiver. So both parties I'm happy for. Mike Evans gets $20 million a year and a team that does have a chance to win the Super Bowl every single year. Vidarian Lowe, backup tackle, 2-year, $12 million. Do I trust him to start? No, but in a Shanahan offense, I do. I do think left tackle in a Shanahan offense, while it is important, it can be obscured by their good guard play. So with that, if you do lose Trent Williams, you have Vidarian Lowe, you'll probably draft someone as well. But this gives you a high-end backup to rely on. John Weeks, their long snapper, resigns. Eddie Pinheiro, 4 years, $17 million extension. Good for him, man. Good for him after the Bears stint. Again, a 4-year, almost $20 million a year deal. I'm happy for him. I'm going to give it a B-. Then the Seattle Seahawks, they've had a really rough offseason so far. They do re-sign Rashid Shaheed and Josh Jobe. Rashid Shaheed, 3-year, $51 million deal. What is that? It's 1534. That's like $17 million a year. Not awful for what he does. Amazing returner, great boundary threat, great deep speed. I just really thought he was going to go to the Raiders. I thought it made too much sense he was going to follow Clint Kubiak. He followed him from New Orleans to Seattle. I thought he would follow him to Las Vegas. But the Seattle Seahawks put that to a stop, and they retain their wide receiver trio. I like it. Then at corner, they re-signed Josh Jobe, who I really did think they were going to let walk and re-sign Kobe Bryant. But with Ty Akata really playing amazing last year at free safety, I guess the value just didn't really match up. So Josh Jobe re-signed to the team. It has not been announced his numbers yet, but Josh Jobe is a great boundary corner. You still have Devin Witherspoon, you had Nicky Manwari, you have Josh Jobe. You retain your core 5 guys in the secondary with Ty Okada becoming that free safety. So I like it. I'll go like a C. Again, they've lost a lot of guys as well. So that's day 1, all the free agency signings. Let me see real quick. Oh, the Titans have signed cornerback Josh Williams from the Chiefs. Cool. I like Josh Williams. He's a solid nickel corner. That's really cool. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, please like, comment, subscribe. What do you think is the best signing so far? Who's winning free agency in day 1? I recorded this at 8:40 p.m. Monday night. So if any signings happen after 8:40, for example, Kyler Murray might sign still. Rasheed Walker, the top left tackle, might sign still. Romeo Doubs might sign still. So if anything happens after 8:40 on Monday, I will update it in day 2. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you did enjoy, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with the next update. Goodbye.